I'm 64. I was introduced to these patches about a year ago by my friend Alicia Waters. And we were just talking on the phone one day, and she was, we're just talking about life and different things. And she said, but on a good note, she said, my cancer's better. And I'm like, what? Because she had been battling, lymphoma for about 7 years, and told me that she had gone for a CT scan and gotten the best CT scan she'd had in 7 years. And I said, well, what did you change? And she said, nothing. I just started using these patches. I swear, that's all. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should look into this, because I had heard about it, but it just wasn't the right time. And I was just skeptical. My husband and I are just really into, nutrition and good supplements and things like that. And so when she told me that, it really got my attention. And I said, well, do you think it would help with my carpal tunnel? Because I own my own cleaning business, and I'd had carpal tunnel for about 1.5 years. And for about 6 months, I probably hadn't slept at night, hardly at all, even with braces on. And she said, sure, I think it would. It's worth giving it a try. And so me and my husband decided to try them together. He had a little issue, which I think he might come on next week and talk about. Actually, it was a big issue, wasn't really a little issue, but other than those two things, we thought we were super healthy, especially to be in our almost mid 60s and work circles around people. And so anyway, we ordered them, we tried them, and I would say the first few days I started sleeping better. My hands weren't keeping me awake at night. I was wearing my gloves, but they weren't keeping me awake. So I knew the inflammation was coming down. After about a week, I noticed a real difference in my thumbs and the inflammation in my thumbs. I was able to pick up, bags and throw over my shoulders and things. And that was pretty exciting. I hadn't done that probably a year or two because my thumbs always hurt so much. And then in about 3 weeks, we both had huge advances, I'll say. My carpal tunnel was probably 75% better in 3 weeks. And I was just blown away. I could wake up in the morning and make a fist. And usually it would take me about 30 minutes for the inflammation to go down, and drink water and be able to make a fist. And I used to, when I would sit down after dinner at night on the sofa, my hands would start swelling about 7:30 in the evening. And that quit happening, and it was just an epiphany. And then he had a huge good thing happen to him at 3 weeks. And we just looked at each other and we're like, holy cow, we are really on to something life-changing here. And so, we just went all in and started using some other patches. We were doing the X39 Eon. That's what I was doing originally. He started with X39, X49 Eon and glutathione, I think. But just kept doing it. And, just noticed all of a sudden I'm sleeping better than I've slept in 40 years. I've always been a light sleeper. And all of a sudden I might look at the clock once rather than every hour. And that was huge. At about 4 months, I heard somebody else's testimony about their irregular heartbeat going away. So I don't know if it was tachycardia or AFib, but I had that for about 10 years or maybe more. And I never went to the doctor because I didn't feel bad. Like, I wasn't tired, everything else seemed fine. But at night I could tell I had an irregular heartbeat. About every fourth beat, it skipped a beat. And so when I heard somebody's testimony, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I hadn't paid attention to that lately. And so the next night when I lay down to go to sleep, sure enough, that had corrected itself. And my heart just beat normally. And so that was huge. And then probably about 8 months in, I just started looking in the mirror going, dang, your skin looks wonderful. I mean, if you notice it yourself, it's huge, because we're so hard on ourselves. But I had been doing aloe vera, for a few months. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, this does not look like the skin of a 64-year-old woman. It just doesn't, And then we made a big move from state to state in October. And I'll let Dr. Stan talk about that whole move was just a miraculous thing. And if we hadn't had the patches, I don't know what we'd have done. But so anyway, I saw him after we moved using the massage gun on his shoulders. And it just dawned on me that I used to use that massage gun every night when I came home from work on my shoulders and my lower back. And I don't think I have used it since April. And
Wow.
that was just another epiphany, like, oh my gosh, I don't have those aches and pains that I used to have. Yep, it's awesome. And I will say that at about 6 weeks, all of a sudden, for about 2 or 3 days, my hands hurt like the dickens, as we say down here in the South. And I knew from listening to podcasts that was just a retracing or a deeper healing in my hands. And so I didn't worry about it. Just kept patching, drinking my water. After 2 or 3 days, my hands were even better. And that happened again at probably about 3 or 4 months for a few days. And then the really strange thing happened at about 8 months. All my life, if I ever got the flu or got sick, like even as a child, my hips and legs would ache. Different people have different symptoms when things like that hit them. Some people it's headaches and some people it's nausea, whatever. That was always my symptom. And if my husband, Dr. Stan, and I do a detox or juice cleanse or something, sometimes he'll get a little headachy, but I always have hip and leg pain. That's just I don't know, it's my detox symptoms. So I guess it means there's something out of balance there. But it hadn't hurt in a long, long time. And all of a sudden, about 8 or 9 months in, my hips and legs started hurting really, really bad. And it was about 4 days in before I realized what was going on. I was having a retracing of something that I really didn't even think was much of a problem, if that makes sense. But, once I realized that's what was going on, I quit worrying about it. After about the 5th day, it went away, and then I hadn't had it anymore. But I know that's what it was.